Don't use AI to write sales copy or ads or YouTube scripts or anything unless you know the missing ingredient. So I'll show you what it is and I'll show you why it works. And we'll start with this story because this demonstrates it perfectly. This is an ad by Avis Rental Car. They were founded in 1946, and for 16 years, they lost money. And then they ran this ad and other ads like it. Now, this ad uses a psychological principle. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But this little campaign and that psychological principle took Avis from losing money to finally making money. Their market share went from 29% to more, I think 36%. And more importantly, they went from 25 million in revenue to 75 million in revenue, all from this type of angle. And this ad is using a psychological method called the expectation violation theory, which sounds like something that you just shouldn't talk about on YouTube videos, but it's like, nothing weird. And it's not just from this old campaign. A huge company called Outbrain, they did a study of 65,000 online ads. And they found that when the ads show something contrarian, that they get 63% more clicks than like regular stuff. So that's why you're watching this video, maybe because the title is probably going to be something like the case against AI or why you should not use AI. And you're like, wait, what? And now we're here having this admittedly one-sided conversation. But the theory overall works, which is if we disrupt that pattern that's going on in your viewer's mind, then their brain's going to be like, wait, what? And now they're going to have to pay attention to what you're saying because they have to make sense of it all. And that's why this worked. And I noticed it happening in my own business, which is why I ended up finding out all the stuff I'm about to share with you and show you how to do. So I started posting videos about my software company, Ojoy.ai, as a means to, promote my stuff very subtly by making content that hopefully helps people. And I made this one. And this thing, it did okay. It got a pretty good amount of views and stuff. But views don't matter. Customers do. And I did a bunch of analysis, and I found that my baseline daily amount of sales increased by 24%. Within the first 4 days that this video was released. I'm using the first 4 days, by the way, because like when you do organic stuff, usually that first 4 days is when you're going to get the biggest amount of bang for your buck there when you're just posting stuff on YouTube. And then it kind of, steadies out over time or whatever. So I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And then I did another one like it. And this one is stop teaching, and stop posting educational content. It's literally like the opposite of what anyone would expect. My daily sales for the first 4 days after this thing was released, they rose up 60% more per day than the average baseline. And then I started going through some of my older videos and I found this one where I didn't really even do it right. But this one had a 73% increase in daily customers in the first 4 days after I released it. And the topic of the video is very much using that expectation violation thing, because it's all about like, hey, you shouldn't even have people click on your ads, you shouldn't even try to sell them anything. And it worked. So I was like, man, this is kind of wild. And I ended up finding stuff. I did some research. I found out about this one from the infomarketingblog.com, which is a great resource for copywriting, by the way, if you're into it. This thing's from like an old newsletter company called The Holt Advisory. And this thing was the case against money market funds. And I think they ran like a whole series of these for 12 years or something. It's amazing. So turns out that this whole thing, the expectation violation theory, is like a thing in marketing. And we can use AI to actually create good, useful content or copy using it with this simple prompt. So you can like screenshot it or something if you want to on the screen, but I'll show you how to do it. So what we do is, first of all, we'll see if I can copy this sucker. All right, so here's the prompt. I want to create an advertisement, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to come over here and we're going to use Ojoy.ai because that is AI that's specifically created to help you write good copy and make cool ads and stuff. And we're going to use a tool within Ojoy called Project Papillon, which is essentially like Claude, but we just took all the memory limitations off of it and took away messaging limits. So it's like, Claude on steroids. I'm just going to paste that prompt on here. So basically, I want to create an advertisement using expectation violation theory. Please ask me one question at a time to help me outline this ad. And here's what we're going to do. So we're going to use this prompt, and then we're just going to get an outline of what we can say in an ad, and then we'll have some fun with it and make something cool. But the overarching thing that I want you to take away from this is what we're really doing here is we're using this secret ingredient called human intelligence. All right. So when most people use AI, they just say, write me an ad. And they're like, okay, whatever. We're going to take some of our own knowledge and skill and we're going to add it to AI and it's going to be better. So anyway, I'll hit go here and I'm just going to answer these questions, but I won't make you watch me answer them all. And this is awesome. So it took me maybe 5 minutes or something, but it's okay, what are you selling? I was like, I have this thing called Ojoy, helps people write copy. It's awesome. All right. So it's all right, great. So what are they assuming to be true? All right. And it gives me some examples. I'm like, well, they expect to hear that AI is a magic bullet. So it's all right, how do you want to violate that expectation right at the start? I don't know why that just sounds so inappropriate. Anyway, it's giving me some options and I'm like, yeah, I have an idea of what I want to say, but I want to hear some of your suggestions. And you know what, man, this really proves the point. Talking about getting super meta in your videos. It gave me some ideas, and this is where you can really inject your own human intelligence to make AI work better. So it gave me some ideas, but I was like, wait a minute. Everything you gave me kind of sounds like an ad. It doesn't sound like something that they wouldn't be expecting. All right. So sometimes you got to correct AI a little bit. By the way, I just pulled this entire prompted method just out of the air before I shot this video, which is usually where the best ideas come from, So anyway, it was like, oh, dude, you're right. Okay. What if I just said, don't use AI? And I said some stuff like, yeah, I would totally go that far. And I would say, let's, surprise them with one of these, because Ojoy actually extracts your own knowledge from you before it writes the copy. So it's totally different than just using AI. It actually makes you use your own human intelligence, And Project Papillon's like, oh, damn. So anyway, it's choose a headline and stuff. And then it's like, all right, what else should we say? Why is it better? And it's kind of making me answer these questions, which is cool. And all I did was talk, by the way. I don't type anything in here. I just hit the microphone and talk. So it goes on, and then finally I just get an outline from it. So here's our outline. We would start with AI can't write good copy. And then now immediately expectation violation in action, And so now we have to sort of support that, when AI uses pattern recognition, every AI tool is writing the same copy as everyone else's. So we got copies of copies of copies. That's no good. And then here's what makes it good. Number one, you have to use AI that's actually trained to write well, that actually knows what direct response copy is and how to use it. And then second, you have to actually inject some of your own knowledge in there. You have to combine it with your human intelligence. And then we introduce Ojoy. That's what Ojoy does. And then here's how it works. You brain dump, you just tell it everything you know about your product and stuff, and then you have it write a rough draft for you, and then you make that rough draft sound cool. And then it was like, well, how do you want to end it? I'll say, try it for free. Ojoy helped me write this ad. So now that we've got that, I'm going to have it write me a rough draft, and then we're going to make the rough draft sound cool. All right? So, all right, cool. Go ahead and turn that outline into an actual ad for me. Keep it short, super simple to read, like sixth grade reading level, and nothing too long, something easy. And here it is. This actually would make for a really solid social ad. I could even use a graphic that just says, don't use AI. And then that would catch people's attention and then we could get them. Well, this will make it even better. So I'll just copy this and now I'm going to rewrite it using our copywriting tool, because this is mainly our brainstorming tool here. This one's, where you do all your strategery was the proper word here. All right. So I've opened a new chat in a new tool called Project Shepherd. I'm going to say, I'm going to give you a really simple ad, and I just want you to make it sound cooler. Don't ask me a bunch of follow-up questions and stuff. I already did all that part. Just help me make this sound cooler. Alrighty, reason I'm saying that is because this tool, which is our copywriting tool, is actually designed to extract your own voice and your own knowledge from you. So I'll just paste that in there. There we go. And if I wanted, I could give it some samples of my own writing and stuff and just have it write it exactly like me, but it kind of, that's kind of what I would say anyway. So I'll just show you how we can make it a little cooler by going. That's awesome. Let's put a little PS in there. It doesn't have to be in the PS, it could be anywhere. But let's tell them that they can try it for free for 7 days, and they're going to know within their first hour whether or not they think it's cool. And it only took me a matter of minutes to write this entire ad, and imagine what they can do over the course of 7 days with a tool like this. So something like that, it doesn't have to be verbatim, but let's just add a little more to it. Alrighty, so let it transcribe my ramblings there. And there we go, and it'll write us something. So this is solid. So all I'm going to do now is, all right, that's perfect. I'm going to use this as a social media ad. So I need it to look right as a social media ad, meaning I need the line breaks to line up properly, and it's too wide. So just make it easier to read from a social media perspective. And yeah, that's it. Don't use a whole bunch of emojis or anything. Maybe a couple, but don't overdo it. We can't use bold on social, so maybe use like little finger emojis or something for the brain dump, rough draft, sound cool part. And instead of saying we extract everything from your head, just say Ojoy extracts everything from your head. Which, dude, that totally sounds like it's going to surgically do something weird, But whatever, I don't want to make this video too long. I think you get the point. And now, perfect. It's formatted it as a social media post. And now that would actually be a really solid ad. And it's using the same principle. And that method's worked like forever. Weird name, but has been proven like over and over and over again to work. So this is just one way you can make yourself stand out from everyone else by combining good old-fashioned human intelligence with AI. And if you use the right AI, it works even better. You can try Ojoy for free. You're never going to guess where. Ojoy.ai. Thanks for watching this. Take it easy.